So Clemson obviously just totally explodes on App State. And, the first two plays, they lose -1 yards, and very, very early, obviously. But it's hard not to think, oh, boy, is this going to be one of these ugly games where we gut it out and you just leave feeling just really down, especially after Georgia really scored 3 points. And frankly, 2021, 2022, and all of last year where the offense stunk. And Bryant Wesco got the start, and that feels good, but let's see it. And third play from scrimmage, 3rd and 11, I think it was 76 yards down, sort of off to the side, almost down the middle. Just a laser throw, perfectly in stride. Exactly what Cade Klubnik did not do against Georgia. Hit him on the move, led him perfectly, easy touchdown. And then things were rolling. Very next drive, he hits him for a 50-plus yard completion. After that, now that you have a deep threat, defenses can't play you the same. Third drive, Phil Maffa, 83-yard touchdown is 21-0. The route is totally on at that point. And yes, Kevin says it here. Clemson needs to prove they can score against the good teams. And NC State will tell us a lot. NC State's defense, I'm sure, is better than App State's. But let's not pretend like App State is some FCS team. No, they were never the threat that a lot of Clemson fans like to talk them up as. A lot of Clemson fans like to say, you better watch out. They beat Michigan like 20 years ago. They took a not that great North Carolina team into overtime. Mac Brown loses ridiculous games all the time. So I didn't put a ton of stock into that, but they're an above average, a way above average Sun Belt team. They're not some FCS pushover. This isn't Charleston Southern. What Clemson did was really impressive. And I think you saw those first two drives. No one believes in Clemson's deep ball. Clemson proves they have it with Wesco now starting, and all of a sudden everything changes. Then Maffa, they can't stop Maffa. Later on, Jay Haynes was also excellent. Of course, the bigger thing is all about the passing game, how that opens that up. Fourth drive, 41-yard touchdown pass to Jake Briningstool. Then the next one was the touchdown pass to Antonio Williams. Really, the first mistake Cade made was on the flea flicker, he left it short, which is exactly what he was doing against Georgia. But then immediately the next play, he hits same guy, Antonio Williams, and it's a 29-yard touchdown. He was, Tiger Pride. He was dropping dimes. He looked amazing. He looked like the type of quarterback who could be one of the better ones in the conference, who could win an ACC championship. Maybe not beat Georgia per se, but maybe beat, maybe win a playoff game. That's what he looked like. And to win a playoff game, Clemson's going to have to play at this level. If they're playing, I don't know if they could even beat Texas per se, but if they're playing, let's say like a Penn State, who I know played terrible this week, but a team like that, or like an Oregon, if Clemson plays like this, then they can beat a team like that in the playoff, which I sort of felt like they had no shot of, and maybe they could just get through a weak schedule. But, we saw Clemson's upside, and it's pretty appealing. So touchdown pass to Antonio Williams, and then Klubnik had a touchdown run. Then he had TJ Moore for a 33-yard touchdown. So that's the second freshman. Now Clemson seeing both freshmen emerge, whereas against Georgia, they were heavily leaning on Adam Randall and Cole Turner. Now you're seeing electric playmakers emerge. And later on in the game, you see Randall and maybe more so Cole Turner make some big plays. And in that secondary role, that's where they can thrive, right? They can provide depth. I don't think you want them to be your alpha deep ball guy, but they're not junk players, especially not Cole Turner. Not some junk player, just not the number one deep ball threat you want if you think you can win a playoff game or make the playoff. So after that TJ Moore touchdown, it was another passing touchdown, a 17-yard touchdown to Jake Briningstool. Klubnik finished the first half, and then the game really with 7 touchdowns, 5 through the air, 7 on the ground. Clemson scored 35 in the first quarter. They went into halftime 56-13. Klubnik started 11 for 11. He finished the game 24 for 26 with 378 and those 7 touchdowns. He was awesome, man. He was honestly just happy for him and proud of him. Like, if he could play like that, that's that 5-star billing. That's the type of, frankly, when you see like him and Grayson McCall, it's that upside about Klubnik that speaks highly to Clemson's route of getting guys with tons of talent from high school and not grabbing people through the portal. And I've complained enough about Clemson needs to get a few pieces from the portal, but trying to get elite high school talent, especially at quarterback, And then maybe you patch it when it doesn't work, but this is the upside you want. This was Clemson's A game. Now, if they played like this against Georgia, did they win? Maybe. I mean, probably not, but maybe. They certainly don't lose as bad as they did. They likely push it into the fourth quarter, and Georgia's really coming up with plays, and it's a battle, right? There's probably 4 deep balls. If Cade connects on those, totally changes the game. The interception by Starks, the game was likely over that point, but if that ball is not short, that's a touchdown pass, or at least a big time completion. And that was not the only example. I don't for the life of me understand, and folks in the live chat chime in, I will probably never understand why they did not start Wesco against Georgia. That to me is just like in 2014 when they didn't start Deshaun Watson against Georgia, or maybe even more memorable from that year when they didn't start Watson in Tallahassee against a Jameis Winston-less Florida State team, and Clemson barely loses that game. I don't know that Clemson beats Georgia this year if Wesco starts. I'm not saying that. Georgia certainly deserved to win, but a real head-scratching decision there. Sounds like folks, Ridge Runner agrees there. Just a real head-scratching decision there to lean on, experience instead of the explosive talent you need. You really knew from last year the receiving core as it was not enough. That's why Wesco and Moore were bringing so much excitement, because we hoped they were the solution. So to not go with them in game one feels really silly, but you do kind of see that the fans, what they were hoping for was kind of right, because they were sort of the solution, especially Wesco. And it was really, really fun to watch. John says it here. So fun to watch. Very cathartic, really. A few other notes on that game before we wrap up. I thought App State, I think they're an okay team, but a blowout win over that App State team is really impressive. I was disappointed in sort of how they lost composure at a couple points during the game. 2 different personal foul calls. There was a nasty chop block against Peter Woods that nearly hurt him. I think he's okay. And I don't even know that was especially dirty. But just overall, I didn't think it was a good showing for App State on the field in terms of quality of play or sort of culture. I thought it was a bad look overall for them. Real subpar showing for sure. And then I look forward. I look at Clemson's schedule. Who's going to beat Clemson? I thought Florida State and Virginia Tech. We did a preview, season predictions with Will Harper of Shaking the Southland. He had Clemson losing to Georgia and Florida State. I had Clemson losing to Georgia and Virginia Tech. Picking those ACC losses looks ridiculous now. I mean, Florida State, I don't know that they could be 7+ point home dogs to Clemson in a few weeks. And then Virginia Tech, that's way off in November, but they have certainly fallen below expectations. NC State comes to Clemson after their embarrassing blowout loss to Tennessee and their struggles against Western Carolina. It's hard to be high on them. So I just maybe Louisville is Clemson's toughest test, and I think Louisville's probably pretty good, but they haven't played anyone yet. I think 11-1 is very possible for Clemson. Now Miami is really, really good. That's going to be tough. We'll see. That's a pretty long way out. Cam Ward is maybe the best quarterback in the conference. Kyle McCord certainly making his case there, but that could be the game of the year if those two teams meet up. Game of the year in the ACC if those two teams meet up in an ACC championship. Couple other thoughts. I think Wesco will certainly continue starting. I don't know how you don't start him moving forward. I think TJ Moore continues to gain playing time. And if those guys can play even close to this level that they showed in this one, and Cade can continue to hit the deep ball and not leave it short, that's going to open things up in the middle of the field and just the general intermediate passing game for Brenningstool, who went for 100 yards, for Antonio Williams, who's been great whenever he's healthy, and he was pretty good in this one. And it's also going to prevent defenses from loading up on Phil Maffa and Jay Haynes. I thought Maffa was great. I thought Jay Haynes was really good. I'm excited that he's emerged as the number 2 back. It sounded like coming out of camp, and it's really hard to read the tea leaves. Dabo says stuff that throws you off a lot of the time, but it sounded like Keith Adams Jr. was going to be like more of a short yardage blocking kind of guy, and Jay Haynes or someone else would really be the number 2. And that's what we're starting to see is that it looks like Jay Haynes is the number 2 guy. He had a phenomenal block in that Georgia game that set up really Clemson's only great offensive play, the corner route to Antonio Williams. So ever since that, I've sort of been keen on Jay Haynes, and then to see him run so well against App State, I think you got an awesome 1-2 punch. And the thing watching Florida State, I'm going to connect this, but the thing about Florida State is when Clemson had DJ Uiagalelei at quarterback, teams loaded up on the run, and so you'd watch the passing game and say, hey, like it's not that bad. Well, that's because that's what they're giving you because they don't believe you can beat them deep. So of course you look okay in the passing game. At least you should look really good when they're trying to stop the run, and that's sort of how it's been for Clemson under Klubnik. They just want to stop Mafo, or last year it was Shipley. Stop them. They don't believe in the deep passing game. Now that you've showed that you could do it, now you've got some compliment, right? They can't just load up on Maffa and Haynes because you'll beat them deep with Wesco and Moore. So now your defenses can't just settle in. And I think that makes Clemson's just much more dynamic. That makes Clemson tough to beat. So as we look forward, or really just kind of summarize this, it's been 4 years since Clemson's offenses look like this. And I know it's App State. I don't want to get overly worked up about an App State win that looked really, really good, but the throws were perfect. They're perfect. If you make that throw against Georgia, it's perfect. You make that throw against App State, it's perfect. And there was like 5 or 10 of those like perfect throws. So regardless of the opponent, Cade was awesome. And then you also think about the change to the wide receiver rotation. These are different guys than played against Georgia, and kind of different guys than literally different, but also maybe different upside than what we've had since that 2020 season when they had Powell and Amari Rodgers. But since then, I don't know that we've had a Wesco or TJ Moore. So now you're seeing a quarterback connecting with them. You're seeing elite talent. I think Clemson proved that their ceiling is higher than maybe it's been the last couple of years. I still don't know that they're going to improve enough to beat a Georgia, Ohio State, or Texas and win a national championship. But after the last couple of years, that's the goal, but that's not what I need to be thrilled and happy. This team absolutely can, and I'm starting to think will run the table in the regular season, get a big matchup against Miami. Maybe they make the playoffs, certainly if they win that, and I could see them competing with a lot of the playoff teams if they play like this. We saw their A game, and it looked really, really good. So really nothing but encouragement in this one, and we'll see if they can continue that. They get the open date, they get NC State, and I'll drop a little prediction here. I think Clemson can blow out NC State. They looked bad, and if Clemson plays like this and NC State's played like they've played all year, well, 2 games, but the games they played, if that's the case, Clemson's going to blow them out. So I'm really encouraged. I hope you are too. Don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I appreciate you watching live. If you're watching this afterwards, appreciate that too. And as always, go Tigers. If you enjoyed this video, please help this channel by liking the video, subscribing, and leaving a comment. Also, if you're a pet owner and you live in the upstate, check out our sponsor, Ready Vets. They offer immediate walk-in care when your pet can't wait. They're open 7 days a week till 10 p.m. They're owned by 2 Clemson grads. They're located in Taylor's, just 10 miles from the Woodruff Road shopping district.